Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Please visit our website, holybatcast.com, or follow us on all your favorite social media channels, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. You'll find us. If you love the show, you love it so much you want to officially support us, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. Really, it just helps with our hosting services, like the storage that is needed to constantly have new episodes. And we do these long episodes every month, and that's a lot of storage. So, and then just helps keep the show a little easier to run. So thank you for everybody who does that. And if you don't do it, it's okay. I know you've got more important things in your lives than this little old Batman show. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network, so if you want to check out some of those shows, you can do that at rf4rm.com. And as always, I am your Bat host, your Bat pal, your Bat friend. It's Andy. Hi. You can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. It is just my name, Andy DiGenova, ANDYDIGENOVA. Now, this episode is going to be a wonderfully weird one. It's something that we've been meaning to do for quite some time, and we said, hey, why not now? Because we've gotten some emails recently about it. We are going to look back at the 1943 serial of Batman. Yeah. You know it exists. Have you seen it? You probably haven't. That's okay. We watched it for you, and we're going to tell you all about it, so you don't even have to watch it. We make your life easier. And joining me, who also watched this for your listening enjoyment, it is my Bat brother. He is the black and white Robin to my black and white Batman. It's Brendan Lowe. Hey, Brendan.
How you going?
I'm going good. Watched some weird-ass shit for this show, but
We certainly did.
I'm not mad at it.
No, not at all. I said on a previous show that I hadn't seen this one, that I'd seen the later one, and I actually got that wrong, because about 5 minutes into the first episode, I was like, no, I have seen this one, because I was remembering dialogue and things like that. So yeah, it's
back.
I should tell the listeners to adjust your podcast settings, because this episode will sound better in black and white.
Duh. I mean, that's the only way to listen to it, is in black and white. Oh, man. So, yeah, this is we said we got some emails of hey, would you guys ever cover the old 1940s serials? Because there were two. There was one in 1943 and another in 1949. We're starting at the very beginning because it just makes sense. And as we were trying to figure out what to do for this episode, you were pretty adamant. You're like, you know what? This feels like the right time.
Well, there'd been, 3 or 4 emails in the last 2 episodes that referenced it or asked about it, and it's just kind of that seems to happen a lot on this show too. Like, something will just, out of nowhere, start getting some traction, and yeah.
And we're like, what the hell? Let's do it.
Yeah, why not?
And originally I went, oh, but it's great. It's 15 chapters, but each one's 10 minutes, so it's fine. I was horribly wrong about that.
Yeah, they're not all
that is inaccurate. So there are 15 chapters. I was correct about that. But they range from about 15 to 28 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. So yeah, it is a grand total of 3 hours and 35 minutes for all 15 chapters of this first one. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to do this. So guys, if you're out there and you're like, I want to watch, I want to participate, I'm going to commit to join this conversation, and I'm going to watch it, I got good news for you. It's not on DC Universe. I guess that's not the good news. That's the bad news part. It's not on DC Universe. And the reason why I found out is because even though it's the same deal as there used to be with the Batman 66 show, in that the copyright for the characters was owned by WB, but the show was owned by Fox. And the copyright for the characters is owned by WB, but the serials are actually owned by Columbia.
Yeah, they still have distribution rights.
And so they had worked that out at a certain point because, as you've said in the past, these were released on DVD right around the same time Batman Begins came out. But that was the last I ever saw of them. It doesn't mean there hasn't been. It doesn't mean there hasn't been a new edition, but I just haven't looked.
Like I said when we talked about it an episode or two ago, I think it was the one with Jamie where it sort of originally came up. The later serial got released here in Australia when Batman Begins came out, but this original one's never had an official release in Australia.
Interesting.
I got my copy when I was in the States in 2006.
Wow. Okay. But the good news, so the bad news is it's not on DC Universe, and that's why, is because Columbia actually owns distribution for the content. So I was a little bummed about that. But guess what? The whole thing is on YouTube. And the whole thing is on YouTube, edited together as one very long movie. So, yeah, just search Batman 1943 on YouTube. It'll pop up, and it'll say Batman movie 1943, and it's 3 hours and 35 minutes, and it's all edited together, so it's one continuous movie. So that's how I watched it. Because I swear I bought the DVDs in 2005, but I'm in China. I didn't bring those DVDs. So thank you, YouTube, and thank you, whoever posted it. That makes our lives easier. So if you're listening and you want to watch the movie, well, the serials, whatever, you can go to YouTube. It's free, and the quality is surprisingly good. I found.
I guess, I don't know if you want to dive into it now or not, but I guess we kind of need to give a bit of a disclaimer as well. Like, if you don't know anything about this serial, and you are wanting to watch it, and you can access it on YouTube, it is very much of its time. And the time this was released is right in the heart of World War II. It was released just shy of 2 years after Pearl Harbor. So, the Japanese were very much the enemy of America. And, back in World War II, propaganda was a weapon. And this serial is very much American propaganda. So it's very, very racist towards Japan and Japanese people. And, as we review it, if any of that sort of thing comes up, obviously we can't apologize for that because it's of its time, and we can only go by what the serial is, and it's World War II propaganda. And
that's a great point. It's good to put that out there because, yeah, it's one of those things you watch it and oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, there is some cringe stuff in here. Some of the words they use, I'm just like, woohoo!
Yep.
Whoo! But yes, when you put it in context of when it was made, and even why it was made, it makes sense. That doesn't make it right, obviously.
No.
But you understand where America was at that point in time and why this Batman serial would go so hard after the Japanese. Doesn't make it right, and obviously the sort of language that is often used in this and even the portrayal of the Japanese characters, it's not okay. It's just not okay.
Still not as bad as Breakfast at Tiffany's, but it's still
you know what?
Okay.
That's exactly it. It is still better than Breakfast at Tiffany's. It is somehow more respectful of the Japanese than Breakfast at Tiffany's, which was 20 years later.
Mm-hmm.
So take that as you will. But yes, so as you watch it, there will be things right there at the beginning that are going to throw you off. And you're going to go, oh, man. And yes, it's that is the parts of this that don't hold up. Everything else holds up great. Amazingly. Everything else, it's like, this could have been made yesterday. But sarcasm? No?
Yeah,
nothing?
no.
But no, the racist stereotypes and the racist language is not okay, and it is pretty sobering to hear. Apparently, though, this was re-released multiple times over the years, and at a certain point they re-released it,
Some
but had
versions are edited and some
yeah
aren't.
yeah they had severely edited some of the racist content, and I'm like, the whole story
What's left?
yeah,
Yeah.
the whole story rests on Batman and Robin fighting off the nefarious Dr. Daka, who is a racist Japanese stereotype. So if you edit out the racism, what the hell is the movie? It doesn't even make sense at that point.
No. And I mean, are we giving spoiler warnings for this? Like,
I don't think anyone cares.
okay, because I mean, when I say it's World War II propaganda, I mean it's to the point where Bruce and Dick, they even say like they're agents of Uncle Sam, like they are getting missions from the American government. They're fighting the war effort.
And that is a very interesting change to the mythology in these serials. Is that they're literally employed by the government to be Batman and Robin, and again, it was because it was the war effort. It was the yay America, we are all got to do our part, and because that was the environment in the 40s, they couldn't have Batman and Robin be working outside the law.
No.
So anyway, let's back this up. Let's back it up just a little bit. We started getting into it. We didn't even mean to. So this is, again, a 15-chapter serial. It was 1943, black and white, and produced by Columbia Pictures, which ironically eventually got purchased by Sony.
Yeah.
So Sony, a Japanese company, now owns the rights to this racist...
Which is why a lot of some of the ones in the 80s and stuff when they were released were heavily edited, because it's a Japanese company.
Right. So again, 15 chapters. It was released in July of 1943. This was directed by Lambert Hillier, and Lewis Wilson plays Bruce Wayne Batman. Douglas Croft plays Dick Grayson Robin. J. Carroll Nash plays the nefarious villain Dr. Daka.
The most Japanese character, and you could probably gather by the name, not Japanese.
Yes. Dr. Daka, played by a white man. J. Carroll Nash, who was a very respected actor who was nominated for 2 Academy Awards. Mm-hmm. So, we'll get into it. Anyway, Shirley Patterson plays the love interest of Linda Page. So, everybody's favorite Batman character, Linda Page, obviously. And then, where the heck is Alfred?
William Austin.
Thank you. And Alfred is played by William Austin. That is the core of the cast. And it is the first time Batman has ever been in live action. And it's crazy to think that when this was made, Batman was only 4 years old.
Yep.
So he was introduced, obviously, in 1939. This was in 1943, so Batman was just 4, just a baby. And now, Robin was only 3.
Yeah. You know the story with, the big connection with this serial and the James Bond franchise, don't you?
Well, I just discovered it as I was waiting for you to pee.
Because, this has always been one of my favorite pieces of trivia, being a huge Batman and Bond fan. So Lewis Wilson is the father of Michael G. Wilson. Now, Michael G. Wilson went on to become the stepson of Cubby Broccoli, who, was the producer of the original Bond films with Harry Saltzman. And now Michael G. Wilson and his half-sister Barbara Broccoli, they are the owners and producers of the Bond films.
That's crazy. I had no idea until...
Oh, yeah, I've known that for years. I love that fact, because it permanently ties my 2 favorite fictional franchises together, way back. This predates Bond as a character.
Yeah. Something else that's interesting about the Batman cereal, it's weird because I just keep picturing breakfast cereal, but this is a different kind of cereal. But So when this came up a couple episodes ago, I was like, oh, I think the serials created Alfred. And then I second guessed myself, and you guys were like, no, I think Alfred's comics. And I was like, okay, wait, maybe you're right. And I couldn't remember why I thought that. And I knew that the serials introduced some major part of the Batman mythology that was then adopted by the comics. And it was the Batcave. Mm-hmm. So this 1943 serial invented the Batcave, which was then incorporated back into the comics. So we can thank these for the Batcave. Although they call it the Bat's Cave.
The Bat's Cave, yeah.
But, close enough. And they also created the fact that the entry to the Bat's Cave was behind the grandfather clock in the study of Wayne Manor. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's really cool that was introduced here. And it didn't introduce Alfred, but it permanently changed Alfred. Because if you read the original couple years of Batman comics, Alfred is like a chubby old bald man. And then they made this serial, and what was the name of the actor again who played Alfred?
Where is it? William Austin.
William Austin. So William Austin was thin, with thinning hair and a pencil mustache, and once William Austin played Alfred in the serial, the comics adopted that look for Alfred, and that's how he's looked ever since.
Mm. It's funny, too, that there's no Commissioner Gordon.
No, it's
it's Captain Arnold.
Captain Arnold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Commissioner Gordon had already existed.
Yeah.
He was in the very first story. Yeah, he was in the very first Batman story. But yeah, for whatever reason, they created Captain Arnold instead of Commissioner Gordon. And you could have just called that character Commissioner Gordon, and he might as well be the same. Yeah.
Actually, that was one of the first part where I was kind of like, no, I have seen this, because I can remember him answering the phone in that, like, really early in the first episode and be like, Captain Arnold speaking. Like, and I'm like, shit, I have seen this. Like, it all started coming back. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember that the car changed color and a few other things.
Oh, God, yes. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that was very interesting. And full disclosure, I did not watch all 3 hours and 35 minutes.
No. And you watched more than what I did. I've seen the first 7 episodes. So probably about an hour or hour and a half, maybe.
Okay. Because that's a big commitment. And I got about through 2 hours of it. And
it does get a little tedious.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I will say this, though. Like, it was easier to watch than I expected. Mm. I thought it was going to be really hard to watch. And I was like, no, I'm kind of enjoying it for what it is. But, like, I also enjoy very, like, classic vintage movies, classic vintage TV. So I like the tone.
Yeah, and I've like, my tastes have very much changed in the last sort of 5 or so years in terms of, old classic cinema and stuff as well. So it's probably 10 years, maybe a bit less, since I watched this all the way through. And I mean, yeah, like the black and white and just sort of the way it's made and everything was something that I found very tedious when I first watched it. But now I actually like that part, that element to it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of awesome, like it does also go to show what a budget and everything can do, because I mean, some of the effects and whatnot in this are really bad, and this was 3 or 4 years after Guy Milk's favorite movie, The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, God, when was Wizard of Oz?
Because Wizard of Oz was 1939.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the Wizard of Oz's 80th anniversary this year.
Ah, well, I mean, that's why it was serials, but not a movie, right? You know?
Yeah.
It was essentially a TV show at the movie theater before TV shows.
And that's something I was going to ask too, because I'm not 100% certain. Were these shown as their own thing? Like, could you go and just watch the Batman serial, or was it kind of like a, what would have become like a Looney Tunes cartoon or something like that they would have shown before a feature?
That's a great question.
Who'd probably know?
Michael Lyons?
Michael Lyons?
Yeah,
Great one.
I want to say it was like, maybe it was bundled with another serial.
Yeah.
And so then it was like an hour-long thing where you like, oh, you saw Batman, and then there was like a 10-minute intermission, and then you saw whatever the next one was.
Because also, 15 weeks, like, that's a big commitment to go to the movies every week to watch.
But again,
like,
this was there were no TVs though.
Before TV, yeah, I know.
But no, you're right.
Shit comes up, man, especially when there's a friggin' war going on.
Oh, hey, you needed escapism.
Yeah, true.
So no, I mean it is 50. It's a hell of a commitment, and I will say, because I watched it and because it was the edited together version, I wasn't quite sure how many chapters I got through because there was no credits except from the very beginning.
They cut some of the seams out, but like I said to you when you said that you weren't sure whether the episodes sort of separated, I was just like, anytime it looks like they're not going to survive something.
Right, exactly.
And you can tell that this is very much what Batman 66 was lampooning.
Oh my God, totally. I was shocked.
Shows, yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked at how similar it was in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. You know, Batman and Robin's conversations, the fight scenes are the same.
The fight scenes make me laugh because, I mean, there's no choreography.
Oh no, it's just like run at each other and throw punches.
Like, Robin will just like dive on people. But the thing is, I mean, compared to fight choreography and stuff that you see in movies today, I was thinking about it, the episodes I was watching yesterday, it's kind of like, this is actually more realistic because this is kind of what real fights look like. It's just people just throwing themselves at each other, you know.
Yeah, real fights are a mess.
Yeah,
and they are not like John Wick. Yeah.
But yeah, Robin would just dive on people. There was one scene where Robin like came through a skylight and jumped, like let go of a rope, and like he landed on his ass. And hard, like it wasn't, you know, a nice, neat landing. Everything you could tell, he just kind of like, whoop, and it was actually pretty funny.
Well, and I will also say that especially in the fight scenes, this makes an even stronger case for no capes than the Incredibles did.
Oh yeah,
because those capes are in their way all the time.
Yeah,
they're so awkwardly in their way.
Lewis Wilson, I mean, you talk about Michael Keaton not being able to turn his head and stuff, like, at least Michael Keaton could see. Like, Lewis Wilson, there is no way he can see out of that cowl.
Oh, God, no. And there's even certain parts where the cowl kind of comes off of his eyes.
Yes, yes. And, like, when they're coming out of the water, like, his cowl's just completely off and Robin's taken his shitty plastic mask off. And
in public, they call each other Bruce and Dick, even if they're in costume as Batman and Robin.
Yes.
Like every time Batman almost dies, here comes Robin going, Bruce, Bruce, Bruce.
And like I said to you, it's funny because in the 60s show, like Bruce and Dick are always together, but in this show, they are always together. Like, in the first episode, Bruce says to Dick, like, you know, I've got my date with Linda. He goes on his date with Linda, and Dick is there. Like, he's there for everything. And like I said to you, at least in the 60s show, like, he and Alfred had the decency to watch on from the Batmobile. You know, Dick was actually on the date with Bruce.
Right. Oh, man. So, I will say this about Lewis Wilson, I think is actually really good.
He is good.
I really like him. And I don't believe this, but it's what the internet's telling me. Apparently he was only 23 in this. He seems so much older.
But men did look a lot older back then.
I mean, I guess so. Because
actually, because this is what, 1930, what did we say it was?
43.
43. He was born 1920.
That's crazy. Because he seems at least 30.
Oh, yeah.
And so he holds the record of being the youngest Batman ever, is 23.
Wow.
But I think he's
Douglas Croft when this was
16.
Yeah.
And Douglas Croft was 16. So
he died really tragically too. He died really young.
I saw that, like, because I was actually very curious about the actors, and so I looked up Lewis Wilson. I saw that thing about Bond. He only acted for 10 years, and he retired in the 50s, and then he worked for General Mills.
Oh wow!
Which is crazy. But he died in the year 2000, so he had a nice long life, which makes me happy actually. And I think he's really good in the part.
Yeah, he is.
And then Douglas Croft, I looked him up, and I was like, oh shoot, he died in like the 60s, and he died
he was
in his
37 when he died, and it was alcohol poisoning essentially. He died on a street.
Yeah, that's horrible. And then I looked up Dr. Daka, who, by the way, it should be said, Dr. Daka, now my favorite Batman villain.
Yeah.
Sorry, Riddler. Sorry, Mr. Freeze. Sorry, Scarecrow. Dr. Daka shot to the top of the charts. I'm going to be Dr. Daka for Halloween.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And in China, it's going to go over great.
Yeah. Yeah. I keep I'm thinking of Sean Connery and You Only Live Twice when he tries to be an Asian man. Bond fans
would get that.
Sean Connery is a very tall Scotsman, as you're aware.
Yes.
So it's as terrible as you're picturing.
Okay. But yeah, so J. Carroll Nash, I mean, I assumed he was white, and so but I still wanted to confirm just in case, and yes, of course he is. But yeah, like same thing, like where I looked him up and I was like, oh wow, this is a guy who, he was like a journeyman actor. He acted for decades, and to the point where he was even nominated and won some awards. So I was like, oh, he was actually very well respected. And I will say this, I wasn't shocked because, okay, he's doing a racist stereotype, but he gives a really good performance.
He does.
Is that okay to say? He's giving a really good performance, even though he's pretending to be Japanese. So like you can tell he's talented, I guess is my point. Like you're like, oh, this guy is a good actor, and he's selling this.
One thing I did notice when I was looking at IMDb the other day is like most of the cast at one point or another were all in Bonanza.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's just that time period. Like, you know, then yeah, if you look through IMDb, like they'll usually always be an episode of Bonanza or something in there.
Yeah, yeah. His very last role was as Dr. Frankenstein in 1971 in Dracula versus Frankenstein. So now I kind of want to see that. He passed away in 1973, but he was 77. So again, like, you know, he had a nice, you know.
For back then, though, I mean, a lot of people died in their 70s and everything. Like
yeah, but yeah, I mean, and that's one thing, like, again, you take these as they are. You know, like, you understand there was no budget, so the suits are what they are. The effects are what they are. But they're still kind of fun to watch. And I think a lot of that is because I think that generally the cast is good. I think Lewis Wilson is good as Batman and Bruce Wayne. And I will say, he felt like Batman in his own way. And
he's a very good Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, and I think Douglas Croft was very good as Dick Grayson. And I thought J. Carroll Nash, racism aside, like gives a very good performance as Dr. Daka. So like the cast really helps carry this thing. And again, I'm a fan of like this era of Hollywood and of this kind of this style of acting and this style of filmmaking. And I was entertained more than I expected to be.
And I like that you can see the cracks. Like, I like that you can see how they did the effects. And that's just not in this serial. I mean, for just like movies and shows for that time period. Because I love going, that's really clever. And like for back then, that's high tech stuff.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, and I can appreciate that. I also had forgotten. Was pleasantly surprised by how much of a role Alfred has in this. Yes,
he's great. He's a little more of a, what's the right word? He's
kind
more
of comic relief in some ways.
Yeah, he's a little sillier as Alfred,
but very much. Again, going back to Batman 66, Alan Napier is very much being this version of Alfred, just a bit more modern for the 60s. Because, I mean, Alfred puts on disguises and goes on the missions.
Exactly. He helps out with the missions. Exactly. Yeah, and he's really good, and he feels like Alfred.
I was thinking there's that one scene, I can't remember what episode it's in, where he's pretending like he's sort of the guy who found the radium gun or whatever, and the mugs, like the goons, sort of attack him, and then Alfred gets a hold of a pistol and is behind a table and is just like shooting wildly, and like everyone runs away, and Bruce takes the gun off of him, and he's just like, "Oh, how many did I kill?" And Bruce goes 7, and then Alfred goes, "But sir, there was only 5." And then he goes like, "Yeah, but you said you killed 2 of them twice."
Right.
That scene genuinely made me laugh. It was really good.
Well, and there was a scene where Alfred is like sitting in the study reading, and Bruce and Dick, and he's reading out loud, yes. And Bruce and Dick sneak in from the clock, and the big MacGuffin for this whole serial is like essentially a laser gun.
Yeah.
They call it something else.
It's a radium gun. I'm pretty sure.
Radium gun, yeah, sure. And they have a hold of it, and so Alfred's just reading his book, and Bruce like shoots this radium gun right next to him to scare the crap out of him. And I was like,
it blows up a vase, and Bruce and Dick are pissing themselves laughing.
Yeah, I was like, man, like that is brutal. I will also say, as something you said he was a very good Bruce Wayne. I agree. Like I really liked that he was playing up the lazy playboy Bruce Wayne.
Oh yeah, big time.
So I guess more than anything, and maybe more than I realized, is I was impressed by how many pieces of the Batman mythology were still incorporated into this. I didn't expect that. I expected it to be a pretty generic serial where the two heroes are Batman and Robin, but I didn't expect as much of the different story elements that I would expect to be in this.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously it's very different, but it's still there. And like I said, you're remembering that, you know, the comics weren't even a decade old at this point. Like, you know, it's the elements are there. It's just not how you would probably normally expect to see them.
Right. Exactly. So we said there's not a lot of money. So the suits are what they are. They're accurate.
Yeah.
Circa 1943, they are accurate. You know, you can tell they're Batman and Robin. But like Robin's mask is literally just one of those generic masks you pick up at Walgreens for a dime.
Yeah, it's almost like the plastic kind of Lone Ranger style masks.
Exactly.
You get it like a dollar store or something.
Yeah, and then Lewis Wilson. There are angles in which the Batman suit doesn't look terrible.
No, and it's not a million miles removed from what Adam West wore. It's just
that's true. Yeah,
cheaper quality.
Yeah, but the little like devil horns.
Yeah,
they're rough. And he wears a huge utility belt, but at least in the 2 hours I watched, I never saw him use a gadget out of the utility belt.
No. I mean, there's bat ropes and stuff, I guess. They store them somewhere.
I guess that's true. And they climb up the walls and stuff. Not quite the same as Batman 66, but similar. Where you go, oh, okay.
Actually, more realistically.
Yeah. So the suits are pretty cheap, but not the worst, especially considering 1943. And then there's the element that Jamie loves in the fact that they had no money, so they didn't try to build a Batmobile. And so there is just Bruce Wayne's car that they drive around as Batman and Robin.
Well, the top's down when they're Bruce and Dick, and then when they're Batman and Robin, the top's up.
Okay.
Most of the time. But it is funny that I think it happens more than once where they're in the car and they need to become Batman and Robin, and there's 2 grown men just getting changed in the back of that car.
They just start changing.
Not a lot of room.
Yep, it's super awkward, but they start changing in the back of the car. Oh, man.
With the old man in the front seat.
Yep.
So you can kind of see where the campy jokes and stuff from the 60s show. I mean, obviously it's in the comics too, but I mean, this is... it's right there. Like it's kind of on Front Street.
Right. No, absolutely.
I was just going to say, you were saying before how like Bruce plays up the playboy aspect of his persona and everything, and that's kind of what leads to the revelation that they're working, for the government, because Dick has the conversation. Like he asks Bruce, he's just like, you should tell Linda who you really are. Like, essentially, he says something other about, he calls him on acting like such a playboy and everything.
Right.
And
because he even says something like if you're not careful, she's just going to dump you because you look like such a dummy,
Yeah. And that's when he's like, but keeping our secret identities is part of our mission from Uncle Sam, or vital to our mission from Uncle Sam or something. And that's when I was just like, holy shit, like that's something I either didn't pay attention to or just completely forgot from when I first watched this. But yeah, like they're government agents. And you see a lot of and traditional Batman fans will like this. You see a lot of detective work, a lot, and also very much what you saw back in the comics of those days. Like there's scenes where they're in lab coats and stuff, like mixing chemicals and beakers and all that sort of stuff. Like it's very much detective Batman.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope so, because this Batman certainly isn't in his physical prime.
No.
Or the master of multiple kinds of fighting techniques.
No.
He just kind of stumbles through.
Yeah, and just run and leap on someone, and
the bad guys get the better of him pretty often. I feel like this is not a Batman who has trained his body to perfection.
No.
Apparently that was something that they did get nicked for way back in the 40s when this came out, and there were reviews as they're like, Batman looks a little saggy around the middle, and he's 23 years old. That's when you're in your prime. And so I just kind of blamed the suit, because yes, it's not super flattering, but I don't know, maybe it was also his physique. It's hard to tell.
Well, men were built differently back then, and look at Adam West. Like, he wasn't cut in the bat suit. Oh, no, it's true.
Well, yeah, you look at what a bodybuilder looked like in the 40s, and you go, that was the perfect male body at that point,
Just
and it's
essentially
very different.
Solid and straight up and down.
Right.
One thing I did want to mention, actually, is another element I thought was really cool. I actually like Daka's hideout.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So Dr. Daka, I had to look up how to spell it because it was so weird when they said it. I couldn't quite hone in on it.
It's just D-A-K-A, isn't it?
Yeah, D-A-K-A. And now I know because he's my favorite villain, but at the time I didn't know. But yeah, Dr. Daka. So, yes, he's like this Japanese mastermind, and he's trying to take down the American way of life from the inside, and he's got all these turncoat Americans working for him, and other Japanese, and honestly, when we saw him, I expected the performance to be as offensive as Breakfast at Tiffany's or that cartoonish, and it's surprisingly more subtle than I would have ever thought.
Oh, he's very villainous, but again, that's what it was at the time.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, he has a secret hideout, and his secret hideout is, the facade for it is like a haunted house. Mm-hmm. But it is the weirdest haunted house because it looks like a traditional haunted house that should have vampires and ghosts and goblins and bats and whatever, but it's a haunted house where all the monsters are Japanese soldiers. Mm-hmm. So it's like, come see the horrors of the Japanese.
Yep.
And that's insane and bizarre. Like, I've never heard of that or thought of that. So I love the fact that it's like in a dark ride. Mm-hmm. But like the fact that instead of it being scenes of like vampires coming out of coffins and witches and stuff, it's like mannequins of Japanese soldiers holding people at gunpoint. It's the weirdest thing. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. But again, I like that it's inside a ride. That's fun.
Yeah, I knew you'd like that. It's funny though, like the old guy at the start, he just kind of like pushes the cart, and then for some reason it just keeps going.
Yeah, like I wondered that. I'm like, what's that ride system? How's that work? Is everything just on a slow decline, so it's gravity the whole time, or?
Yep. Potentially, maybe.
But, so yeah, the whole story revolves around Dr. Daka's radium gun, and they're always looking for more radium for the gun, and I don't know what they want to do with the gun, but do evil things, I guess. But everything's kind of around that, but he also is able to brainwash people and make them obedient zombies.
Yes.
And there's this really great 1940s era sci-fi helmet that he puts on these people to brainwash them, and it's just so ridiculous that I love it. But he also chooses like the pudgiest, oldest white guys to make into his slaves.
Yes.
Like, they are the least intimidating zombies that you could ever see because they're like, they look like your dad's friends from work.
Yes, but just with a weird helmet thing on.
Yeah,
they can only do something when Daka speaks into a microphone, and he never really gets them to do anything. It's just like, leave the room.
Yes,
like,
yes.
Walk over here.
Well, there's a certain point where it's like, show him how strong you are. And like, he starts choking the guy, and he's like, all right, that's enough. And like, he's got to talk into a microphone for it to work. And it's just whatever. He's like, he brings them out, and it's just these two like lame looking white old dudes where I'm like, man, like, they are just not scary at all.
The one part, like, element of that I did actually like was in one of the last ones I watched, was when the actual Japanese soldier gets brought into America in a coffin.
Yes.
And then they take him to Daka's hideout, and he reanimates him using sort of the zombie tech, I guess you could call it, in inverted commas. And it's purely, he even says like, he's in a form, he says sort of suspended animation, but the words they're around a different way, the way he says it, like animated suspension or something like that. And he brings him back to life for just enough time for him to like relay the message back from Japan. And then he gives him like a microfilm, and then he dies. And Daka's like, he's happy that he has died in honor for his country or something or other. But just the fact that he could reanimate someone whose sole purpose was to just deliver a message. And I thought that was kind of cool.
No, that was actually a really cool idea. Is like to get the information by transporting a corpse and then bringing the corpse back just so he can give that info. No, I agree with you. I thought it was a really interesting idea. So no, I mean, there is some kind of interesting things in here like that.
Daka had pet crocodiles or alligators, one of the two.
Yes, whatever the difference is. But yes, he does. As all good villains should.
And he was really
trap
going to feed
door.
one of the zombies to them.
Yeah, you need a trap door that leads to alligators in case of people. You need to teach a lesson.
I know we're kind of jumping all over the place, but I mean, it's not the sort of thing I think you can really do chronologically.
No, we're not breaking this down plot point by plot point. Oh, hell no. I ain't got time for that.
But with the and again, this is very much what Batman 66 was taking the mickey out of, but with the cliffhanger endings and everything, some of them are set up to, from very early on, they're set up to be so dire, and you just think, I can understand people back then thinking, oh my god, like, how are they going to get out of this? Like, I have to come back next week. And I know that's the whole point of a serial, but it's there's no real payoff for any of it. Like, some of the ones that were really, you're just like, oh man, how did he get out of that? Like, there's a train, he's like Batman's knocked out on the train tracks on a bridge, and there's a train like coming right for him, and come back next week to find out, because the train's right on top of Batman, and he comes back and it's literally just a case of Robin runs out and pushes him off the tracks. Or there's like a huge car crash, and you're just like, oh man, and then it's literally they cut back and it's like, yeah, he just got out of the car. Before it crashed. Like there's no, it's the most simple of things to get him out of, whereas with Batman 66 it was always, Batman found the solution really easy, but it was always some convoluted, complicated, over the top thing, whereas with this it was just like, he got out the plane landed, it's on fire, but Batman just got out. Like,
nope, that's exactly, like, the solutions are so simple.
Yeah.
Like, there was one that I watched, it was towards the end, where, like, the roof caved in on Batman.
That's
and obviously,
the last one I saw. I haven't seen the resolution to that.
Oh, well, I'm about to spoil it for you.
Oh, okay.
He was fine.
Oh, I gathered.
That was like, the solution was Robin comes running in, and he's like, oh, Batman, thank goodness that, like, it was, like, these rocks, like, these rafters made an arch, and so you're okay. And you were like, oh, okay. Like, so there was not even any action taken to save him. It was literally just like, oh no, it just didn't hit him that hard.
You're cool. Yeah.
So yeah, it's hilarious. I do kind of wish, like, that the version I saw still had the cliffhangers in it, because again, I was still sort of just assuming where they were.
Yeah.
But you're right, the solutions are never particularly interesting.
No. They're not even really solutions.
Oh man. So I've got to just share this, because we did talk about it, and just as an example of some of the things in this that are said where you're like, oh man. Like, so one of the dark moments in American history is after Pearl Harbor, when America put Japanese citizens in internment camps, right? That's like horrific. In this thing, they reference that, but what they say is, since a wise government rounded up, and forgive the language, rounded up the shifty-eyed Japs. And it was like, since a wise government, like, so it's literally saying, like, oh, we did the right thing?
Yep.
Oh my God. I just couldn't believe that.
What's really interesting, the timing of this is, last week I started watching The Man in the High Castle. And if you don't know what that show's about, it's an alternative reality where the Nazis, like, Germany won World War II. And
right.
Yeah, and America is split. Like, half of it is run by Germany, and half of it is part of the Japanese Empire. So I've been watching this show where America is very much under the control of Japan, and then I do, like, a complete 180, and I've been watching this serial for the last few days, and it's just like, wow, this is a bit of a head, you know what.
Yeah. It's crazy. And then there was another moment where this guy is, like, threatening Daka.
Yep, I know the moment.
And he's like, let me out of here or whatever. And Daka was like, very well, as you wish. And he goes, that's the kind of answer that fits the color of your skin.
Mm-hmm. Oh. And he even says, like, I'm on the right side of this war. And he says something else in there as well. But, I mean, there's even an episode title that has the word Nipponese in it.
Oh, you're right.
Like, it's...
Because that's the thing, I didn't see any of the titles because they're all edited together. So the only title I saw was the very first one, which was The Electrical Brain.
There was one where the I think it was referring to the body being brought back in the submarine, the one that got reanimated. Like, and there is actually an Asian actor I can't imagine it would have been Japanese, but there is actually a couple of genuine Asian actors in this, and even one of the Asian actors refers to something in the sub as the Nipponese something or other, and that was from an Asian actor, and it's just like, holy shit. But again, it's what the time, like, there's,
yeah,
it is what it is.
Right. Well, so apparently, so like it's so crazy is that while the whole thing is going on, I'm not sure that Batman even knows who Dr. Daka is yet.
Probably not. I don't think he does.
I feel like he doesn't. Like Dr. Daka definitely wants to kill Batman and Robin, but I feel like Batman has no idea that there even is a Dr. Daka until the end. And I didn't get to the end, but allegedly in the end, when he meets him, even Batman lets out some racial slurs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And did you notice that, like, when Dr. Daka, he talks to one of his men who is on the sub, they're kind of talking via radio, and they go, "Banzai, banzai," like, as a greeting?
Yes.
Is that accurate. Real? I was like, I don't think that's real. I think that's racist, too. I don't think banzai is a greeting. But no. I'm not Japanese. I could be wrong. But I was just like, really? What? Because my knowledge of bonsai is from the Karate Kid. But anyway, there were just some things that were at least calling out more specifically because they were just what they were.
You know what would be interesting? I've been thinking as we've been talking, and I don't know if this has been done or not, but I can't imagine it has. But it would be interesting to see Dr. Daka bought into the modern day comics, like kind of like what they did in was it Batman Confidential, who bought in King Tut and actually made him sort of like a, you know, kind of like a mummy. I can't remember how they did it, but it was kind of cool. I remember liking it. Like, it'd be interesting to take this character who was like a racial stereotype for, you know, a war villain era, and have a talented writer see what they could do with that in today's modern world. Like, it'd be interesting.
No, I completely agree. I mean, and I feel like I know I talked about it on a recent episode, but I can't remember who it was with or which episode it was, but I kind of said that as I was like, oh, I remember they took a shot at doing that with King Tut, but I would love to see them do that with Egghead and with the Bookworm and the ones that were introduced in other media that haven't really been brought into the comics. And I agree with you. I think why not try and figure out a cool way to incorporate Daka? Apparently someone did try, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently in 1985, he appeared in All-Star Squadron number 42 and 43, except they made him Prince Daka.
Well, I think he's a prince in this anyway. Don't they refer to him as Prince?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure they do.
Okay, well then, yeah. So he I guess in 85, someone did include him in this All-Star Squadron, but that was it.
Yeah. Well, all I know is because I do remember now. Like, I watched all of this one, and then after it, I started watching the other one. And it was just, I was like, no, I'm done. I can't watch any more of these serials. I do remember Daka being a better villain than the one in the follow-up serial, because it was just a dude called The Wizard, and it was like just a guy in like a black hood and collar, and yeah, I don't remember. I thought he was kind of boring very early on, whereas, you know, racial stereotypes aside, Daka's not boring. Like, he's not a terrible character.
He's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Because the actor is giving an interesting performance. So, no, I mean, I what's funny is I thought I had watched, prior to this, I thought I'd watched more of this than I had. And then as I was watching it, I went, oh, when I watched this before, I probably watched 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So this is the most I've ever seen of this, but hey, it's a Batman show. We're Batman fans. We need to be completists, and so this has inspired us to actually finally commit and watch these serials.
I mean, look, I don't want to dive straight in, and I'm not going to continue. Like, after we've done this, I'm not going to keep watching the other.
You're not going to finish
8 or 9 parts that I have to go.
You don't want to see how it ends?
Well, I mean, I could just skip to the end, but I mean, you know, I'm definitely keen. You know, bit of breathing space, a couple of months. If there's, you know, a time where we're like, oh, geez, what are we going to do this week? I'd gladly do the same thing with the follow-up serial, because, again, that's one I haven't watched all the way through. But, yeah, if we watch, you know, an hour or two's worth and do the same thing again, I wouldn't say no. I'm definitely interested to check it out.
No, I think we have to. At some, I mean, not the next episode, but
Oh God, no.
but no, when we have another
little
gap,
of these cereals go a long way.
that is true. When we have a gap. All right. Well, is there anything we didn't touch on that you wanted to make sure you mentioned?
No, I'm actually, funnily enough, I've said more than I thought I'd be able to.
See, it happens. It would have been cool though if they would have. And if they would have gone with a classic villain, like I would have loved to have seen the Joker in this, you know?
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I get in this one why they didn't. Like, again, it's a war propaganda serial. I get it, but for the second one, I mean, like they had quite a few years worth of comics to pick from, and I don't have obviously Wikipedia or whatever open in front of me, but there would have been at least 3 or 4 of Batman's mainstay villains in the comics by then.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, by this point, even in 43, the Joker was around, Catwoman was around. I'd have to check, but I'd have to check the others. But I want to say even like Penguin and Two-Face might have been around by now.
I mean, even with the special effects and stuff, I mean, like in black and white, even Joker wouldn't have been hard to do.
No, not at all. Like you don't need special effects to do the Joker, but they wanted to make this very World War II centric, and so they did.
Yep. And like, honestly, I think I've said on this show before, like I've done a bit of a deep dive into World War II history and stuff this year, and watched a lot of World War II movies, and got the records released of from my dad's dad from World War II and stuff. So, racism aside, I did sort of appreciate the war element to this more than I did in the past. And like I said, I think that might even be why him make that throwaway line of being agents of Uncle Sam early on, it probably didn't register with me the first time I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this time it's like, okay, and yeah, like I appreciate it on a different level because of that.
Well, yeah, and because they don't hit on it much.
No.
Like, they don't make it a big deal. So, it's just mentioned pretty quickly, and then they move on. So, I could see how you would miss that the first time around.
Yeah, but having that in the back of my head this time around, I sort of was looking at it through a bit of a different lens.
Yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, just any closing thoughts on Batman from 1943?
I mean, look, if you've never seen it, again, we gave the warning, and I don't want to keep going into it, but, there are elements there that you might just need to be a bit cautious of. But it's, as a Batman fan, and if you want to be a bit of a completist, don't feel that you need to watch the whole 3 hours, whatever it is. Just a few episodes so you can say that you've seen it and get an idea for it. And there are genuinely good things in there, like the performances. Lewis Wilson's great. I'd recommend at least giving it a little bit of a shot, even if you just watch a couple of episodes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's good, there's bad. You've got to take it in context with when it was made and why it was made. But it's worth a watch. It's worth checking out. And again, even if you're not going to commit to all 3+ hours, I can't blame you. We didn't even do that. So I definitely can't blame you. But yeah, if you're a Batman fan, it's an easier watch than you might think. And it's more entertaining than you might think. So, take it as you will. But I'm glad we did this. I enjoyed.
It was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed checking it out. It gave me a reason to finally check it out. And so now... I can speak a little more smartly to it when it comes up, because previous to this, like I said, I swear I watched like the 5-minute intro, the first episode, and that was as far as I ever got before.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's things to like, and as I said, I think the cast overall is really good. And the production values are not great, but again, think of it as a cheap TV show in the 40s. But it's not the worst.
They were better than I remember them.
Yeah.
Because I know like the thing that people think of with these serials, and it's often talked and written about when they come up, is how cheap they look and how terrible, the effects and stuff are. It's not that bad. you know, for 1943, it's kind of good, given the budget
Yeah.
that they had.
Yeah. Considering the time, it isn't that bad. So, there you have it. Check out The Batman from 1943. It is free and available for you right now. It also is just kind of cool, like, to have on in the background. You know, like, you don't have to, like, watch it that intently, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, glad we checked it out. But we are also rewatching Batman Beyond. And so we're continuing that journey. So we watched Batman from the 40s, and then we watched Batman, I guess, right? It's still the 90s, I think.
The future, yeah. Well, this hasn't happened yet.
That's true. Okay, that's right. You're right. So Batman from the Batman from the past, and Batman from the future. So without further ado, it is time to look at the next episode of Batman Beyond. All right. Last time we talked about Dead Man's Hand. And I like how Jamie is he's just gone, so you're stuck with all these.
Yep. Which the irony is, he's gone so he can watch sport, and this episode was about sport.
This one's all sporty. This one is number 9. It is called The Winning Edge. This one aired on April 10th of 1999.
That's my brother's birthday.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Brother Lowe.
He would have been 5.
Wow. So anyway, this one is, as you said, it's very sporty. We get the return of the Joker gang, which it's been a while since we've seen them, so I was actually just happy to see them back. Terry is out there, he's doing his thing, but he's doing it so much and so late that he is just exhausted all the time, and I kind of feel him on that right now. Like when he was like falling asleep, and I was like, dude, like, oh, that sounds so nice, just go to sleep. And so he and Dana, I guess, have reconciled.
Yes,
remember they broke up on the last one.
They did, yeah.
Or maybe it was just like they weren't too focused on continuity because these might have been aired out of order or something. So
potentially, and I don't think Dana knew that he was with 10. So
yeah, they didn't talk about that. So yeah, in this one, Dana has forgiven him, so they're hanging out, and she drags him to a sporting match. And this is one of the rare times I'm not trying to be funny by saying sporting match, because I don't know what the hell the name of the sport is.
No, they don't. I don't think they ever really say it either.
If they did, I missed it.
It's like a weird combination of like ice hockey and lacrosse and maybe American football. Yeah,
but like in anti-gravity.
Yeah, and see, this is a part of one of the elements of this show that I don't really like, is that I know it's a future thing and it's a sci-fi thing, but that hyper stylized, like the outfits that they're wearing when they're playing the game, I'm just like, yeah, all right. Like,
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I actually thought that the sport made more sense than I expected it to. Because at least you kind of get it. You're like, okay, it's essentially hockey or soccer, but there's enough of different spins to it that it can count as futuristic. So yeah, they're essentially playing this game, right? And there's one of the players, his name is Mason. He's having a hard time, and we find out that he is abusing future steroids, and they're called slappers.
Which has a whole different meaning over here, but anyway.
Okay. And they're like nicotine patches that essentially inject steroids into you, and then later on you find out it's not really steroids, it's venom. So this Mason and his buddies who are on this team, they're like, they want the winning edge, and so they're addicted to these slappers, and so they're running robberies so they can buy more slappers. Batman tries to stop them. And Terry finds these patches and realizes what they're up to. That his mom catches him with the patches, and she thinks he's been taking drugs. But he hasn't. She doesn't believe him. So he gets grounded. He's in trouble. And so he and Bruce kind of look at these slappers, and they realize it is venom. And there's only one person who knows how to make venom, and that is Bane. And so Terry has to track down Bane. He goes and he sees Bane, and it turns that Bane is like super old and decrepit, and
Not in a good way.
they don't say he's really a vegetable. He could have been sleeping, but he's in bad shape. And the orderly is like, yeah, that's what Venom does to you. And so they're like, well, it can't be Bane because Bane is just like not capable of running this sort of operation right now. And surprise, surprise, we find out it was the orderly who was doing it. So the orderly learned how to make Venom from Bane by taking care of Bane, and now he's out there selling it himself. And so he ends up slapping those slappers all over his body and getting all big and huge, and he's got to fight Terry. And eventually he like overdoses and becomes catatonic because of all these slappers. And Terry goes home, and Bruce was nice enough to give Terry a drug test so they could prove to his mom that he's on the up and up. And his mom's like, oh, thank God you told the truth. And so that is the winning edge. Brendan,
Yes.
thoughts?
Yeah, I liked it. I was gonna say before, like while you were sort of doing the thing, the sort of the show wrap up, when the slappers were introduced, I was just kind of like, oh, this must be like their version of Venom, and not sort of realizing where the story was going to go.
Sure enough.
And I do like this show more when it ties into the original Rogues Gallery,
Of course, yeah.
which is why I kind of dug last week's episode more than the other ones.
Right.
No, it was good. It felt like a cross between, and people our age will know what I'm referring to here. It felt like a cross between like a Batman episode and also, you know, a very special episode of like an 80s and early 90s sitcom. Like with the or like an after school special or something with, you know, the sports star on drugs, and then, you know, Terry getting caught holding, and and he was doing the right thing, and that, yeah, it very much had that feel to it, which kind of made me laugh a little bit. But yeah, look, honestly, pardon me, this is another episode that I didn't hate. I actually kind of enjoyed watching it. So
Wow. I thought it was okay. It was better than I remembered, because this is an episode I definitely remember.
Okay.
And it's because I don't like. You're right. All the stuff that feels like a very special episode of Blossom, I'm just like, ugh, it's terrible. Like, I hate it. Like the whole like, oh, they're doing drugs to get good at sports. I'm just like, oh, I hate that stuff. But the fact that they tied it in with Venom and with Bane, I actually thought was pretty cool.
yeah.
So that was an interesting take, and I actually liked the subplot of Terry just being stretched way too thin. You know, that's kind of very Spider-Man-y, if you will, of having a hard time just being a teenager and also trying to be a superhero. But it was effective in this.
Brother's a prick.
Oh yeah, I feel like we haven't seen his mom and brother since the pilot.
I think it's been a while.
Yeah. But yeah, his brother's a little shit. I mean, that's what little brothers do. And so yeah, like I there are things I like about it. I just don't like the whole like just say no episode of Batman Beyond, you know?
Yeah.
It's just so it's okay, and in the end it's all right. But I thought that tying in Bane was actually pretty cool. I was okay with them using the new the orderly who had kind of taken over. I felt like they could have made him the new Bane.
Well, I was thinking he was going to be the coach.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
But I mean, the coach obviously was an asshole. But yeah, it went a different way. That surprised me.
Yeah, even the coach was very much like 80s a-hole coach.
Yeah.
Like, he was like the coach from Revenge of the Nerds.
Yep.
Whatever it takes, guys. Come on, ladies. Rawr. You know, he was that dude. So yeah, I honestly, that didn't even cross my mind, but you're right. The coach almost was sort of a red herring, I guess. But yeah, like when the orderly Baned up at the end, I was like, well, that is a way to have Bane in this show, is just pass the mantle. But it doesn't seem like that's what they're interested in, because they dispatched him pretty quickly. Seems like
it's a one-time thing, yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like that could have been a missed opportunity. I would have been okay with that, is him sort of becoming the new Bane.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's all.
You're not gonna get more out of me.
No, I mean, this is like, I really like Dead Man's Hand. I really like the Mr. Freeze one. This is one where I'm like, well, it was better than I remembered, but I still don't think it's a great episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, what would you give this as a letter grade?
I'd probably go a standard C, and like not trying to be negative in doing that. It's just it was a good episode. I enjoyed it, but it's nothing spectacular.
Right. Well, I would probably give it a C too, so don't feel bad.
Okay, cool.
Because it wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst. It was all right.
No.
All right. Cool. Well, there you go. 2 C's for the winning edge. And honestly, like for some reason, I had such a bad memory of this one that I was like, oh God, I'm not looking forward to the steroids episode. but I had forgotten some of the details that make it a little bit better than I remembered. All right. Next time, the episode number 10 is called Spellbound. And we're getting really close to finishing season 1, Brendan.
Good. I mean, really?
Listen, you. But FYI, season 2 is much longer.
Yeah, I saw that.
Season 1's pretty short. So anyway, yeah, if you're following along, next time you will watch Spellbound. Now, let's check in with you, our friends, as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
What is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger.
Sizzle, Master Wayne.
Okie-dokie, what do we got here? This email is from our pal, Adam Lance Hendrickson, Bishop. It says, greetings, Andy. Possibly the Fort Wayne Thunder, or possibly the Thunder from Down Under. It's definitely the Thunder from Down Under. I'm rewatching the Titans Season 2 premiere. Is it possible that they moved this episode, which is clearly a finale, to Season 1 because A, they didn't have the money to finish the effects for Trigon, or B, Bruce Wayne hadn't been cast yet? These two areas seem to stick out in this episode. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Sincerely, Adam Lance Hendrickson, a.k.a. Bishop. Thank you, Bishop. What do you think, Brendan? Do you think that Trigon and Bruce were the reason they delayed it?
I don't know, actually. I don't think so. I think it was sort of what we said in the last episode. Like, they just might have decided to go in a bit of a different direction, and they sort of retconned a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of think so, too. Like, I agree with you. I mean, I think Trigon, no, they would have had the money to do it. Like, I don't think that would have been an issue. Bruce Wayne, maybe. But I think that, yeah, like, my guess is maybe they wanted... The initial plan was to just keep going down the Trigon route. And so this finale would not have ended with them defeating Trigon, and then that would have led to season 2. And then maybe they were like, you know what? Like, let's do something else. Let's do Deathstroke. We can do him now. For whatever reason, he's available for use. And I think that was more about it was more about reshaping it to turn the car into a different direction. You know, I think that was it.
They announced Arrow was finishing up, so that sort of put Deathstroke on the table, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it was more just about getting it moving in a different direction that they wanted to do for season 2, but they had made that decision, I think, kind of late, where they couldn't just air the initial finale as it was.
Yeah.
All right, next question is from Alvin Gross. It says, greetings, Bat family. How do you think that Billy D. Williams and Robin Williams as Two-Face and Riddlers would have looked in Tim Burton's Batman 3? I always heard that Robin Williams was going to have his head shaved into a question mark. Well, thank you for the question, Alvin. Brendan, what do you think? How would Two-Face and Riddler have looked if it had been Billy D. Williams and Robin Williams?
I don't know. For some weird reason in my head, I always pictured Robin Williams' Riddler having a bit more purple in the costume.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like the purple mask and green jacket. I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't know. I mean, it's something we'll never see. So it would have been interesting to see if Billy Dee would have kept the mustache.
I think he would have, because he's had that mustache like his whole life.
So that would have been an interesting aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of have to think about Tim Burton's design aesthetic and like what his Catwoman and Penguin became and try to apply that to the Riddler and Two-Face. No, I don't believe Robin Williams would have had his head shaved into a question mark. I don't believe that at all. Because number one, Tim Burton even didn't get far enough into making Batman 3 to do any design. You know, hear him tell the story, he was pretty much asked to leave in his initial meetings. So, like, they didn't even get that far down the road for him to go, oh, here's what my Riddler's going to be, here's what my Two-Face is going to be. I don't know. I would have expected Robin Williams to be in the Riddler suit, the green suit with the cane, with the bowler hat. Like, I would expect that. You know, maybe with a slightly creepy Tim Burton twist on it, but to me that feels right. And then same with Two-Face. You know, imagine Max Schreck's suit in Batman Returns, but cut it in half and make half of it gnarly and Two-Faced, and I think you're maybe getting closer to what Two-Face could have looked like for Billy Dee Williams. But I will say, and this is totally random, is you remember like the Batman 89 movie poster, it said Nicholson Keaton, Batman. And then Batman Returns, it was like Keaton, DeVito, Pfeiffer, Batman Returns. I was always like, how are they going to do that with Batman 3 when it's Keaton, Williams?
Yeah, true.
They would have had to have figured out a way to do that. So anyway, that's my thoughts.
I think they would have had the full names. They would have had to have.
It would have had to have. All right. We only have one more email. It's actually a pretty light week.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, this is from Tyler Gardner. It says, I haven't been reading the new run of Young Justice, but I saw that Tim Drake's new alias is going to be Drake. I wanted to get your thoughts, especially knowing that Andy is a big fan of Tim Drake. Thanks, TG.
This is the first I've heard of this.
I'm so glad you asked, because this just came out like today, I think. It's brand new. It's like today.
Is there a costume?
So yes, there's a costume.
I'm jumping on Google.
So yes, in Young Justice, they revealed Tim Drake's new suit and persona. His suit essentially looks like the Robin costume, but minus the cape. And the coloring is brown and yellow.
Oh.
And his new hero name is Drake.
Okay.
Here are my. Well, do you want to give your thoughts before I give my thoughts?
I'm just looking at the photo now. Costume's okay. I don't really like the colors, but the costume itself is okay. I don't. It'd be like me having an alias of Low. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I don't love either of them. I do not. The name Drake is fine, I guess. It feels kind of lazy to me.
Yeah.
That's what you got.
Is he gonna drop a hip hop album or?
And the fact that they're like, well, but Drake is also a bird. I'm like, it's a fucking duck. Like, that's not what you name a superhero after. A duck? What the hell?
Unless your first name's Howard, like, you know.
Yeah. But Drake on its own, like, yeah, it sounds kind of cool, but like the logic of using your own last name.
That's the thing. If it wasn't his surname, I'd probably be, okay, that's got a bit of a ring to it, but it's his fucking name.
I know. Like, that's his name. Why would you do that?
Who is this masked person named DeGenova?
It's a surprise. Actually, my superhero name is going to be Drooly.
Just to really throw people off the scent.
Yep. So yeah, I don't mind the name Drake for a superhero name, but like you're just gonna use your last name. It defeats the purpose of a secret identity. And the suit, if it was that same design but colored red and green or red and black,
or anything else,
yeah,
brown and yellow.
But the brown and yellow looks like shit. And I don't mean looks bad. Like, I don't mean shit as in bad. I mean, it literally looks like shit.
That's the color of Wee and Pooh.
He looks like a fucking Tootsie Roll.
Well, this is one episode where not everyone's loving the Drake right now.
I love the Drake so much that I hate what they're trying to do.
Yeah. They just don't know what to do with that character, do
They
they?
don't know what to do with him. They don't. And here's the thing, though.
I blame Damien for that.
It's all Damien's fault. Mm-hmm. It totally is. Yeah. No, I can live with the name, and if they recolored the suit to Robin colors and lost the cape but kept the domino mask, you know what? Then I'd be okay with it. I'd be like, okay, I guess that's fine. But is Drake better than Red Robin? No, I don't think it is.
No.
And I don't think it'll last. I think it's another attempt of let's try to give Tim his Nightwing, and it ain't gonna work, and they're gonna have to try again another time.
Such a shame.
So, yep, not crazy about it. And I hate the brown. Oh, I hate it. It's ugly as hell.
I don't know who signed off on that.
And then one last thing, just going to get this out here as long as we've got the time. It's got this email from Carl Johnson. It says, "Hey, Andy, I'm a huge fan of the show. I've written in many times, a long-time listener, and I am happy to announce that I'm a published author. My new novel, Invasive Species, is out via Hellbound Books. Is there any way you could promote it on your show? I thought I would aim high and see about having it on my favorite podcasts." So there you go, Carl.
I don't think we can.
Oh, sorry. So nope. Yes. So you know what? You're a friend of the show. There you go. Carl wrote a book. It's Invasive Species via Hellbound Books. And number one, congratulations on being a published author.
Awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, that's a hell of an accomplishment, and congrats. And so there you go. Anybody out there who wants to check out his book, it is called Invasive Species. And he says it sounds like it is a horror monster book, which is kind of cool. Congrats, Carl, and there you go. There's your plug.
What's Carl's surname?
Carl Johnson.
Carl Johnson. With a C? Is Carl?
With a K.
Okay.
Carl with a K.
Urban.
Yes. And here's what the book is about. He even sent that. He said, "A monster has come to Maldus, Arkansas, and the residents of the small mountain town are too busy to notice. With the monster comes something even more terrifying and threatening than gnashing teeth or razor-sharp claws. The monster has brought change."
Holy shit, that is a mad cover art. The cover art's insane.
All right. There you go. Check
Awesome.
out Carl's thing. And Carl, congrats. Best of luck. I hope a lot of people read it and love it, especially for spooky season. But that's it for emails. So if you got an email you want to send to us, you can send it to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. And now I'm just going to get a bunch of emails asking me to plug people's stuff.
Damn it, Carl.
I knew. That was my only hesitation. Is I'm like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. I'll plug you. And now all these people, plug my Etsy shop. I turn tin cans into Christmas ornaments.
That's actually something we probably would plug. If they're Santa Claus the movie themed,
then I will. Yes, I'll happily plug that.
We'll buy some.
All right, well, there you go. That's it. We're closing the Wayne Manor mailbox, and we are wrapping up this episode. Brendan, thanks for joining me, and thank you for watching the beautiful and amazing, mind-blowing serials from 1943 of Batman and Robin.
It was, and I'm not saying this tongue-in-cheek, it was a genuine pleasure. I had a really good time.
No, me too. It was super fun. It was great. So, no, thank you as always. Tell our friends where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Loey007. You can find my podcast, The Nightlight, at NightlightPod, or at facebook.com/TheNightlight or thenightlight.podbean.com. New episode out this week where I talk to one of the organisers of the Batman 5K fun run here in Brisbane, and there's also one happening in LA, all happening on Saturday the 21st, next Saturday, which is Global Batman Day, so check it out.
Awesome. Very cool. When is the fun run? Because I did listen, only because I love you.
Next Saturday. And
I know you're signed up, so I'm excited to see photos.
I've been training, man. Because I am not a runner. And I can do close to 4Ks in about half an hour now, so
nice. Very cool.
I'm not sure what that is in miles for you weird folk, but yeah.
5K is 3.5 miles.
Oh, there you go.
So whatever that is. But no, have fun with that.
Yeah, it'll be good.
I look forward to photos.
There'll be plenty.
All right. I
got my shirt and race number the other day too. I posted that on the Nightlight page.
I think I must have missed that.
Yeah.
I don't stalk you well enough, apparently.
Yeah, no, obviously not. You just don't care.
I guess I need to up my game. Anyway, yeah, so check out Brendan's stuff. If you want to check out some of the other shows that I do Disorder, every Disney film, and we just reviewed The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, nice.
And that'll be coming your way as soon as I find the time to edit it. So it's been recorded. It has not been edited. And then check out Why Not Futurama, where Scotty and I are rewatching Futurama. It's in its entirety, and we're doing one episode at a time. So check that out as well. Please, as always, that doesn't even make sense. As always, thank you for joining us. Thank you for downloading the show, and please follow us. There you go, wherever you get your stuff. So follow Holy BatCast on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, and of course on Facebook. Please do subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. And as Michael Keaton's Batman says, I want you to tell all your friends about me. Again, if you've got a message for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. So on behalf of Brendan, I've been Andy. This has been Holy BatCast. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
High atop one of the hills which ring the teeming metropolis of Gotham City, a large house rears its bulk against the dark sky. Outwardly, there's nothing to distinguish this house from many others. But deep in the cavernous basements of this house, in a chamber hewn from the living rock of the mountain, is the strange, dimly lighted, mysteriously secret Bat's Cave, hidden headquarters of America's #1 crime fighter, Batman. Yes, Batman, clad in the somber costume which has struck terror to the heart of many a swaggering denizen of the underworld. Batman, who even now is pondering the plans of a new assault against the forces of crime. A crushing blow against evil in which he will have the valuable aid of his young, two-fisted assistant, Robin, the Boy Wonder. They represent American youth who love their country and are glad to fight for it. Wherever crime raises its ugly head to strike with the venom of a maddened rattlesnake, Batman and Robin strike also. And in this very hour when the Axis criminals are spreading their evil over the world, even within our own land, Batman and Robin stand ready to fight them to the death.